Drum roll! Congratulations! Welcome to the 5th month of 2022. Welcome to the month of May. Oh my God, you made it. Congratulations. I'm very excited to always say this. Like, there is just this joy. Like, let me be very honest. Even for the times I don't feel like pumped up to make a podcast, whenever I'm just getting ready to say this congratulatory note, I feel so happy. There's just this joy bubbling in my heart to say to you. I'm so happy to tell you congratulations. Welcome to the month of May. You made it. Yes, this year has not been easy for many people, but you made it. Congratulations on being here. I'm so happy to say this to you. I don't know how your year has been. I don't know if you've been ticking all your boxes. I don't know if you've been making all your plans. Everything has been going well. I don't know if you have money in your bank account. I really don't know whether your life has been going too great per se. If it has not been, I just want to tell you congratulations for being alive. Thank you for surviving another day. Thank you for just being here. Thank you for being alive. Congratulations. See, you made it, and God still has more in store for you. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Hello and welcome to another episode on Riskcast. Welcome. I'm sure by now you're already listening to your congratulatory note. So here just let you know into what today's topic is about. Now, this topic came like last year, if I'm not mistaken. It was somewhere in my list, but I wasn't sure of what I wanted from the topic. And for topics like that just come into my heart, I just write them down, hoping that God will give me a proper understanding of what the topic is about before I come share on it. Now, this topic was one of them, and it happened to be the topic I'm going to share today. So it was just there all this while, and I just kept on wondering, what Lord am I supposed to share? The thing is that initially I had an idea, but later on I felt like I didn't really have the idea about the topic. So this month we entered into 2022, and months passed, and yet I wasn't really I was not really getting an understanding of what I was supposed to share. But thank God, in the month of April, as the month was ending, I began to really have an understanding of what this topic was to be about. And God just helped me to have an understanding. And as I brooded on the topic, and as I thought on it, and as I meditated on it, God gave me a better understanding of what it is. Now, this topic may not be what you think. It is why are you hiding? So it may not be really what you think, or maybe if you are really that inspired, you may already get what this topic is about. But there's a high possibility it's not really what you think. So what is this topic about? Is it about people that are hiding? Is it about those that like to hide? Is it about that? No. Well, let me not give you a big clue, but no, that's not what the topic is about. However, like I said, I'm going to, as I was putting on this topic, God give me a better understanding. And today I'm going to be focusing on a particular character in the Bible, which happens to be my favorite Bible character, and one of the characters that I feel so related to, and that character has been a point of therapy for me. I'll say he has been I really felt relatable with this character, and I've mentioned this character a lot. But if you don't still know who that character is, you are going to have to hang in there, and listen to this podcast to get a full into what this topic is about. See, at this point, please don't hesitate to like this podcast channel, to subscribe on this podcast channel. Please do. And if you can, please kindly do that on Anchor, on Google. But I would mostly appreciate it if you do that on Google. On Anchor. On Anchor, I'll mostly appreciate your subscription on Anchor. And please don't hesitate to share this to somebody else. I'm very sure it's going to bless them. Please, what are you waiting for? Share this to somebody so that they can be blessed as well. So with that being said, let's right into today's topic. Now, you may be like me. You may be somebody that is very cautious. Like, you don't like to be the center of attention. You don't like to be the one everybody notices when they come into the room. You would prefer to enter into a room a little bit like nobody's noticing you. You may be like that. You may be like me. Over the years, I realized that I'm not the kind of person that loves a lot of attention. I don't like all eyes to be on me. And most of the time, I'll prefer to do things in a way that to minimize attention. Am I saying that I am someone that hates attention? I will not say I hate attention. No. If it's just a considerable amount of healthy attention, I know you may have your own differing degree of that, but everybody has their own way they would interpret that. But for me, it means that okay, getting a reasonable acknowledgement without it being oversaid, without a lot of emphasis being made on it. Yes, I would love for my opinion to be given out, for me to have an opportunity to express my opinion. I don't like when somebody shuts me down. I don't like that. But at the same time, I don't like when there's a lot of attention, excessive attention. Whenever somebody does that, especially in a group setting, I like to turn it to someone else. I like to can you just share the attention with everyone? So I'm not the kind of person that likes to project myself. And even for the things that I love doing, or the things that may make me come out public, like I have a podcast, I write a blog, I also have a vlog. And for you to write a vlog, you're actually putting yourself out for people to see you. I love doing those things because they are avenues that I have to share what God is placing on my heart. But a scenario where I feel people a lot of attention is being placed on me because of what I'm doing, what I'm sharing, I feel uncomfortable. So I want to make a balance. I want to make a balance to what I'm saying now. Despite the fact that I'm sharing and putting myself out on a public space, I realize that inwardly, I'm not the kind of person that likes to dwell in that place. I love to still have that space of privacy where I can recoil. So being a place of attention is not a place I love to be for a long time. So for some times, I recoil so badly that I wouldn't even want the attention at all. Like, I will repulse when the attention comes. Now, like this topic already says, why are you hiding? So if you are like me and you are somebody, and let me say, if you are even worse than I am in this respect, I know there are people that don't even want themselves to be in a public environment at all. In fact, they literally dread it, and they would not even make an attempt to go ahead to do that. So if you are even like worse than me in that aspect, I'm sure you understand what it feels like to hide. I remember the year 2020, I did a blog series and also did a documentary on my vlog titled The Cave Woman, where I was sharing my experience of learning to explore myself, learning to bring out myself. I remember I did an art series during that time titled Discovery, and during that season in my life, God was just really showing me a way to learn to express myself more and giving me a better understanding of who I am and what I'm supposed to do. Now, it's as much as it appears modest to not seek attention for yourself, as much as it appears modest to know that okay, you don't have to always be the center of attention. Sometimes when you overdo it or when you hide too much, you are preventing yourself from launching out into what God has for you. Now, you may be modest, that's beautiful, but there are times where you cannot continue to stay under that space of I don't want to be known, I don't want attention to be given to me. See, if you are a light, you will attract people. However, it also still depends on how you go about it. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So the truth is that being a Christian, you can't necessarily hide your life. You can't necessarily hide all that God is doing in your life. And in order for you to walk in your purpose and what God has to do for you, you have to do things. And sometimes most of those things will attract attention. It depends. Attention necessarily may not be a large crowd, but one way or the other, what you are doing will attract some form of attention. Now, in as much like I already mentioned, even as much as you may want to be if you are someone that's actually very modest, if you are someone that's actually very concerned. Now, if you are not that kind of person, you may not necessarily get this. But if you are, I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say, or the kind of feeling that comes with trying to be modest with these things. Now, when you are doing the work of God, when you are obeying the will of God for your life, His purpose for your life, there is a time to come out. There's a time to come out of that hiding space in order to do certain things God wants you to do. In order to do some of the things that God wants to do in your life, or for you to do the things He wants you to do, it needs you coming out. It needs you stepping out. It needs you leaving a place of comfort zone. Now, I've talked about comfort zone in previous podcast, and it still applies a lot to this topic. It needs you to come out of your comfort zone and of that place of wanting to be careful of projecting yourself. Now, when it comes to the things of God, we always have to come from our understanding of what God wants us to do at that point in time also matters a lot. Now, if you realize that what you are doing is a thing of God and it needs you to actually come out, then you know that you have to come out, and God is going to give you the grace, whether you are shy, whether you are not, or maybe you are not just into it. God is going to give you the grace to come out. Now, God cannot be washed. There was something one of our guests here said, said when it is time to launch, please launch. So there's a time to wait, and that's one of the things that particular podcast was trying to stress. There's a time to wait, and there are things to do even while you wait. However, there is also a time to launch. There's also a time to come out. There's also a time There's also a time to do. There's also a time to come forward. So you cannot remain in that place, hiding yourself away. If you do that, I'm telling you, you are denying yourself of a lot that God has in store for you. And even if your purpose, even if what God has for you may not be on a large platform, if you do not step out on the things that He's leading you to do, you are actually depriving other people of being blessed by what God wants you to do. So this is still an addition to those that actually feel very modest and they are afraid and they are shy. Oh, I don't want people to know me. Oh, I don't want to overdo myself. See, if God has given you an instruction and it needs you to leave your comfort zone, please do not hesitate and do it. Now, let me let you know that you are not the first person to feel that way. So many people in the Bible, as were shared with us in the Bible, they were that way. They felt that way. And one of the examples is Joshua, the son of Nun. He was the one that was literally by Moses' side all through the ministry of Moses. Like, he was there at every point, serving Moses, being at Moses' beck and call. And from the way Joshua must have responded to being the follow-up leader after Moses, you will see that he wasn't maybe necessarily even expecting it. He was very content being Moses' servant. He was very content just being by Moses' side. However, we see in the first chapter of Joshua, God kept encouraging Joshua not to be afraid. He said, "Have I not called you? Be not afraid, be courageous." And we see that in other chapters of Joshua where God kept on encouraging Joshua to be strong and courageous. Also, we see Paul encouraging Timothy to not allow anybody to despise his youth. He kept encouraging Timothy to take up what God has spoken over his life and he should walk and go with it. Now, let me let you know that thing that God is calling you to do, if you don't do it, or if you don't go ahead with it, you're actually walking in disobedience. And it doesn't matter if it's because you are shy, it's because you are afraid of what people will say. If you don't go as God is leading you in regards to something that He has laid on your heart to do, you actually disobey Him. Now, in the previous podcast, we talked about launching out. There is a time to launch out. There's a time to go into what God has called you to do. In as well as a time to wait, it's a time to prepare. Your waiting period, your preparation period it's meant to prepare you for the day you are supposed to come out. So everybody's not going to be on the same pedestal. Everybody's not going to have the same audience. Everybody's not going to have the same volume of audience. But we are all going to have our own unique set of audience. Now, why are you hiding? Is it because you are shy? Is it because people have told you you are not worth it enough? Is it because people have not validated you enough? Is it because of a trauma in the past? Is it because you feel that you are not just the person that God is supposed to use? Maybe this podcast is for you, just to let you know that if God has called you and if God has given you the assignment, then He knows that you are very capable enough to do it. So stop hiding. And I want to also let you know that none of us have all gotten it all together. Nobody, even those that appear to have had so much experience in the things of God, not all of them have it all together. But on the altar of sacrifice and the altar of willingness and obedience, as we launch forth, God continues to give us strength to move day by day to do what He has called us to do. Now, like like I know, like the main theme of this podcast platform is to be very relatable. In the recent announcements I shared, if you listened to the previous random, that is if you did, I mentioned that I'm going to be starting 30 days of intentionally seeking God through purposeful prayers, and it's starting today, the 1st of May. Let me not lie, I was very hesitant, and it's not the first time that God has asked me to do something and I was very hesitant, because I just began to think of what will people say, like wouldn't they think that this girl is all over the place. I battled with this thought for a month and probably some extra days, and I was being so I was like, God, I don't want to do too much, but I kept on praying. I was like, God, please help me. And along the line I was like, would you rather obey God, or will you rather be so concerned about what people will say? And I have known from experience that when I obey God, it's far much better for me than not obeying God. It's always far much better for me to obey God. So that thing that God is calling you, God understands that you are very careful. Now I know there are people that are so eager, they want to do things for God, and they want to go out of their way to do things even God has not led them to do. Now I'm not encouraging you to do that. I'm not encouraging you to do the things of God just by yourself, just by your flesh, just because of your ambition, or just because you want to be noticed, or just because you want to prove a point to anybody. There's no need for that. There is no need for that. I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. I'm encouraging those that God has led them to do things. God has put things in their heart. God has given them an assignment to do, and they are being so cautious. They are being so careful. I'm encouraging you today that please go ahead and do it. Now, let me go into the Bible character that I talked about before, and that is King David. Now, as I was meditating on the character of King David, it's interesting to know that David was killing lions and bears in the bush, and he didn't have anybody to share it with. David had a talent of playing a harp, and demons will fly away. Like, that is how powerful David was. That was how much the presence of God David carried. But he spent so long just being in a place where nobody knew him, and it was not necessarily by choice. But when an opportunity presented itself, David did not continue to hide. And how did this opportunity presented itself? When you look at the book of 1 Samuel chapter 16 on to 17, that's just when you get to understand the opportunity that was presented itself. Now, David was sent to go and give his brothers food on the battlefield, and he came to that battlefield and he heard what was happening. He heard how everybody was afraid. He heard how Goliath was threatening everybody, and immediately David knew that this was the time to finally let the world know what God had been doing through his life. And he stepped in, and God strengthened him, and David was able to deliver the Israelites from the hand of the Philistines, and that set up a trail for the life of David. Also, another opportunity that presented itself to David's life was when he was invited to play the harp for Saul after Saul had been tormented by an evil spirit. And every time David played the harp, every time David played the harp, the evil spirit on Saul would go away. And mind you, the person that recommended David was just a servant in the palace, possibly somebody that just used to overhear David when he was playing the harp. He may have not necessarily been a friend. And I also want to chip in to say that David's brother did not validate him. David was literally forgotten in the bush. His father literally forgot that he had a son until Samuel insisted on the last born being around. When Samuel asked for all the sons of Jesse to appear before him, David was not mentioned. However, David, in that place where he was in his relationship with the Lord, he was preparing himself. But what I want to put an emphasis on is that when it was time to let the world know what God had been doing in his life, David did not hold back. So there is a time to wait. There's a time to express what God has put in your heart. And if God has given you something to do, He is also going to give you a time for it. He is going to let you know when it is time. It depends on you to be sensitive. And if God has said, let you know what the time is, you have to work on it. You have to move ahead with it. It doesn't matter if you're afraid. It doesn't matter if you are cautious. Be like Peter, walk on water as Jesus is asking you to come. And please don't be like Peter that sank. Don't be like Peter that removed his eyes from Jesus Christ. No, even if yes, you may be afraid, you may be cautious, keep your eyes on Jesus Christ and continue to walk on water, and you see yourself at the other side where you are supposed to be. Now, the truth remains that, like I already mentioned about David, a lot of people may not validate what God has called you to do. You may have support, you may not. People may pretend that they support you. People may put up a show that they support you, but they may not actively do. People may not even put any show. People may not even encourage you. Possibly you may get a discouragement, but what matters is if God has said that to you and you are sure that He has asked you to do it, please do. From experience I've had in my life, I've realized that whenever God asks me to do something and I go ahead to do it, I realize later on in retrospect, I'm so grateful to God that I obeyed. I'm so grateful to God that I did what He asked me to do. And I'm just seeing how, some areas of my life just have a different form, different shape because I obeyed. There's nothing as beautiful as obeying God on what He has asked you to do. Now, looking at the main passage for this podcast, and the passage actually came in my heart, that was laid on my heart for today's topic, is coming from Isaiah chapter 41 from verse 10 to 14. I'm reading from the King James Version. It said, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them and shalt not find them. Even them that contended with thee, they that war against thee, shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, for I will help thee. Fear not, thou warm Jacob, for ye men of Israel." Sorry, that's verse 14. "Fear not, thou warm Jacob, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel." When I read this place, it really encouraged me. If God has asked you to launch forward, if God has asked you to do it, He's saying that because He knows He's going to be with you. He's going to encourage you. He's going to strengthen you. He's going to uphold you. How are you going to do it? He's going to show you how. What do you need to do it? He's going to give you those things. How will it go on? He's going to show you. God spoke to Abraham and told him, "Come out from your place and go to a land I will show you." And Abraham walked with God in faith. And because of Abraham's obedience to God, we are offspring of that obedience. And several other people that have obeyed God and have followed God, even when they were afraid, even when they were not sure, even when they were not really confident in themselves, but they chose to obey God. And because of that, we are enjoying some of the fruit of their obedience. Now, God doesn't always choose the most qualified, but He chooses those that are ready. And if He has called you to do something, it's because He knows that you have the capacity for it. And even if you don't think you have the capacity for it, then God is going to give you that capacity, and God is going to expand your capacity for what He has called you to do. See, He's not going to call you to do something that He's not going to prepare you for, or He's not going to give you the strength for. No, He's going to prepare you. He's going to give you the capacity. All you have to do is just to obey and to trust Him. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Final encouragement, please cast out that fear. And I'm not saying it to you like I'm such a pro. I already shared my experience with you. It's something that as my relationship with God keeps building, I'm just seeing how God keeps on building stamina. There are times I'm like, God, see, I don't feel so great about this. I don't feel so qualified. Like, what am I even doing? But one of the things that gives me assurance and peace and just consoles me is that these are not things that I just want to do for doing sake. And the reason is because you need to have a foundation for whatever you are doing, especially if you are doing something that has a lot to do with things of God, with the house of God, with ministry. Your foundation has to be very firm. If it's based on just your desire to be popular, to be known, to be respected, you may be very disappointed, and it's not going to guide you, because there are going to be challenges. There are going to be times when you need to be encouraged, and if your foundation is not on the Lord, you have to source that encouragement by yourself. But if it is something that God has asked you to do. There will be time of discouragement. There will be times of self-doubt. There will be time when you just want to give up. But when you look at the whole thing and realize that it is God that has called me into this and He's able to sustain me. And sometimes even when you least expect or what you never thought would be the things that would assist what you are doing, God will open your eyes, give you an understanding to see the things He has placed in your hand for you to make do with. And I'm telling you, as you obey God into that thing He's calling you to do, you are not going to regret it. There's a podcast topic here titled "What Do You Have?" And when you listen to that podcast, it's actually a recording of a message that I had the privilege of sharing in one of fellowship that is very dear to my heart. So if you do not mind, do not hesitate to actually go check that podcast and listen to it. I'm very sure it's going to bless you. So this is the rounding up encouragement. Please do not allow fear to rob you of what God has in store for you. See, everyone that you are seeing out there doing something, they had some iota of fear. Everybody has maybe different degrees, but they had to face that fear. They had to step forward and trust God that what He has called you to do, He's going to make it to come to pass. And at the end of the day, you're going to be grateful. You're going to be thankful that you actually obeyed God. And if it's not yet time to launch, please keep on waiting. I think you made that emphasis on God cannot be rushed. So if you've not listened to that, do not hesitate. Please, I'm going to listen to that. I'm very sure it's also going to bless you. So with that being said, this brings me to the end of today's podcast topic. I hope that it really blessed you. I hope if this message was actually for you, I hope actually it ministered to you. And if you feel that okay, this message just encouraged me and I'm already obeying God, I just hope it actually added more volume to what you are doing with God. And if you're actually not in any of these categories, let me encourage you to go listen to the Purpose series. Please do go listen to the Purpose series. It's going to add a lot of volume. It's going to really help amplify what has been said on this podcast, especially if you don't feel you have any background per se on all that has been said. Please do go listen to the Purpose series. So I really thank God for the opportunity, and I thank God for all that has been going. We keep on learning as we trust God, and even as whatever we are doing, we seek to make God God's name to be glorified. We seek to do we are not projecting ourselves. We are not trying to make ourselves the center of attention. No. However, as God is going to be putting us in positions to serve for His glory, we still return that glory back to His name. So yes, I'm so grateful to God for this opportunity to share with you. Do not hesitate to please like or subscribe to this channel. To be very needed. Do not hesitate to share this to someone that will be blessed by it. So I'm really trusting God for what He has in store. And with that being said, thank you for being on this platform. Okay, before I say goodbye, I already said that in my previous random. There will be 30 days of intentionally seeking God through purposeful prayers. That will be happening on a Telegram channel. Click the link attached to this podcast platform. Abba Scott is the name. Click there and kindly subscribe, join the platform to be part of what God will be doing during this session. So Abba Scott, ABBA''S, then COURT. There's a space between Abbas and Court. So it's on Telegram channel. You could type it, or the link attached to the podcast platform. It's actually there on that on my link tree. Just click and join the channel and be blessed by what God's going to be doing during this season. I think I'm repeating myself, so forgive me. So with that being said, thank you for being on this channel. And until next time on Rosecast, stay safe and God bless. Bye-bye.